friends, welcome back to GK Sports India YouTube channel, and this is the Kumbi Jiku Show. Quite a lot of cricket has been happening in India. The India versus New Zealand ODI series got off to a winning start for the home team, with India winning comfortably, and who else but Virat Kohli acing the run chase of 301 target. Also, the WPL Season 4 has begun with one quarter of the league matches, 5 out of 20 already having been held, and 15 more league matches followed by the eliminator and the final left. And also in the domestic front, the Vijay Hazare is in the knockout stage with the quarterfinals having begun. So to discuss quite a few of this, our expert K. Srinath, player-turned-umpire. Sri, quite a lot of cricket to be followed, isn't it, with a lot of action and some interesting ones.
Absolutely, it's becoming a bit tough to keep a track of what is happening across the globe. As you mentioned yesterday, the weather has been not all that great in Bangalore, due to which both Karnataka and Saurashtra had to qualify by the VJD method. Post after 40 odd overs were done. So today we have two more quarterfinals happening here. Hopefully today the weather is stayed a bit bright and hopefully they'll have a full game. And yes, India kicking off their ODI campaign against New Zealand. India starting off well. And more so importantly, from the women's point of view, the Women Premier League has started and we've witnessed 5 rounds of matches that have happened in the D.Y. Patil Stadium. And of course, as usual, whenever it happens in Mumbai, Jiku, you're there in the press box. So how's the response so far, let's say in terms of the fans and the crowds that have come in? Because I've been able to catch glimpses of most of the games. Some of them have been, real tight ones and humdingers.
Yeah, Sri, absolutely. The opener on 9th of Jan, Mumbai Indians versus Royal Challengers Bengaluru. It was almost played in front of a packed D.Y. Patil Stadium, and even though it was, we can say Mumbai being the home city and Mumbai Indians home crowd, this D.Y. Patil Stadium seems to be everybody's home ground because players love playing at D.Y. Patil Stadium, and it's been one of the happy hunting grounds for most of the players. We have seen some fantastic cricket, all-round show, some fantastic bowling performances, including a hat-trick by our uncapped player Nandini Sharma. But unfortunately, she ended up on the losing side for Delhi Capitals. But there have been some phenomenal performances. Can't miss out Sophie Devine's all-round show. She almost became the first player to score 100 in WPL history. Sri, can you believe 70 plus matches in 4 editions, including 3 completed ones, and still not 100 yet scored in this WPL? And on the same day, on Sunday, Sophie Devine came close, fell short by 5 runs, and her opponent, Lizel Lee, she came close, fell short by 14 runs. So it's all happening out there at D.Y. Patil Stadium. I can say for sure.
Yeah, I mentioned, in fact, a couple of names to add. I think Mandana has done really well as usual. Expected of her. Grace Harris for RCB. She got a brilliant 85 yesterday night in the run chase against the UP Warriors. Also, Shreyanka Patil making a comeback after a year. She missed out on the last year's league because of an injury. Of course, you mentioned Sophie Devine. Harmanpreet Kaur is looking in good form. So it's auguring well. Well, it's not a mystery to really unravel or decode and see the magic 3-figure mark coming. So we are in the 4th edition. So obviously, 70 odd games happened and it's around the corner. And obviously, we have the first leg of this tournament happening at the D.Y. Patil in Mumbai, which is getting over on 17 Jan with a double header. With the day's break, they move to Baroda. So hopefully, we get better pitches for batting there, less dew, and obviously you can see a run feast. So I think the 3-figure mark is around the corner because we've already witnessed a couple of hat-tricks. Deepthi Sharma had one, and now one more hat-trick we've seen in this edition. So it's all auguring well for women's cricket worldwide.
And certainly, this WPL is doing a whole lot of good for Indian cricket and the domestic players. Some of the newcomers that I got to see, Nandini Sharma was impressive with her bowling, and I was particularly impressed with Anushka Sharma and her batting. Though she didn't get big runs, the way that she contributed in the 20s and 30s, she looked very, very impressive, and she has a bright future ahead of her.
Yeah, look, always I believe such a tournament wherein you have the best in the business across the world come and rub shoulders with domestic cricketers. That obviously gives them that space to believe that we are also there amongst the best. This particular tournament in its fourth edition, what it's done, I can see the results that have been there in the out. One classic example that can come to my mind is that of Kranti Gaur, the youngster who did really well in the Women Premier League last year, made a debut for India, straight away got a cap. She did really well in the England tour. And what else? The icing on the cake was she did well, and she was a part of the World Cup winning squad.
Right.
So it's like a run-of-a-mill story. And you mentioned about these two youngsters, Anushka Sharma as well as Nandini. We've got some exciting talent still, who've not proved themselves in this very limited time. Kamalini, I've heard lots of stories about her that she can hit the ball a long way. Of course, we've always have our own reputed cricketers. Uh, I think it's bridging the gap, between the international and domestic cricket scene. These players, when they perform in the WPL, they get a hang of what it requires to do well per se in terms of their skill set, execution, temperament, handling pressure. So that's why we see products who are coming out of WPL are looking like finished products when they're getting into the Indian squad, be it T20 or T50 over format. That's something that's done wonders for all our Indian domestic girls.
Certainly, and that's what IPL has done to Indian men's cricket, and same way WPL is doing for Indian women's cricket. You mentioned about G. Kamalini. She is only 17 years old, and from what I have seen her in these two matches so far for Mumbai Indians, she is just in the game, always wanting to be. She's the excitement, wanting to contribute, wanting to be on the field, wanting to do something with the gloves, and even opening the batting. She has been striking the ball well, but just that it is like they say, a matter of one big innings, or one being away from scoring a big knock. But she has all the makes of a very good top quality player, and also some of the under 19s like Nikki Prasad, Minnu Mani also being there and thereabouts, but still that big performance is yet to come, and I'm sure it's not far away. And also looking at it, Sri, the overall performance, top performers in this WPL, we expected Smriti Mandana versus Harmanpreet Kaur in the tournament opener. They promised but didn't deliver in that particular match. But in their second respective matches, they came up with their usual stuff. So that is something which is the top performers are mainly from the foreign players, and I would like to see the Indian players, including the Indian internationals, fill up the top places in both the batting and bowling statistics of this edition.
Absolutely, we certainly are going to see performances from our Indian uncapped players plus our Indian regular internationals. Testimony so far in the 5 games that have happened, RCB, already champions once, are at the top of the table, followed by Gujarat Giants. Both of them have won both their games. Mumbai losing their opener against RCB, bounced back, won one more game. The worrying factor is Delhi Capitals and UP Warriors. Both of them are languishing at the bottom of the table. Mind you, one thing the viewers need to know is this is a very short tournament. Each team plays each other twice. So before they leave Mumbai and get to Vadodara, I think DC and UP Warriors have got a lot of work to do. Post the auction, everybody, even I was watching the auction once the teams came out, and I was one of those critics who said that I think the best auction has gone by the way of UP Warriors.
Right.
But I think somewhere strategically, even executing their skills, I think they've still not got it right. So as I said, it's just not about winning. Net run rates also make a huge difference, because mind you, it's only the top four teams that white out, and the team that is on top will obviously get through to the finals directly. So RCB's net run rate is at 1.964 plus. So again, the bottom two teams are at negative. So it's just not about winning handsomely with over to spare. That was what RCB displayed, yesterday night. 145 always is a very, very tricky chase. Those were the days when we used to plan saying, okay, let's not lose wickets up front, build a partnership, and then take it to the end. But now the modern day mindset of these cricketers are totally different. 7.5 overs to spare. Grace Harris just took the bowlers to the cleaners. Mind you, the two wicket-taking bowlers and who could be restrictive alongside were only Deepti Sharma and Eccleston. Both of them couldn't even bowl their quota of full 4 overs. So I think this is something the teams have to take a note of. Very early days, but I said before, the wink of the eyelid, you would just be done and dusted with the first leg, and teams will be really, scratching their head and trying to figure out what needs to be done better to get to the middle or top of the table.
Certainly, and also you mentioned these bottom two placed teams, Delhi Capitals and UP Warriors, led for the first time by Jemima Rodrigues for Delhi Capitals, and of course the experienced and hugely successful with the Australian team, Meg Lanning for UP Warriors. And also it takes time for them, despite their experience at the international level or even having captained the national team or even Delhi Capitals in the case of Meg Lanning in the previous editions. They need time to settle down, get used to the new set of players after the auction has happened, and the players have changed the teams. For example, Grace Harris, you mentioned, played a brilliant knock for RCB last night. She played for UP Warriors in the previous 3 seasons. So imagine that she playing for RCB, scoring against her own previous team. These are what happens in the WPL. The dynamics of the auction are such that players scoring against their previous teams. You have seen that plenty of times in IPL. And also one particular performance that stood out for me in the first 5 matches was Sophie Devine. Sophie Devine, her all-round performance, she just blew it away. And also she came close to, like I mentioned, being the first centurion, but missed it by a hit. But in that same match, she had to defend 7 runs, bowling the last over against Delhi Capitals, who still had Laura Wolfart, who was batting beautifully. Marizan Cap came in to bat. She could hit the ball long, but Sophie Devine used all her experience and contained, gave away only 2 runs and picked up 2 wickets, including that of Wolfart. So that is what this WPL has done. And quite a bit disappointed with especially UP Warriors, who were at the start of the tournament were among the favorites to win because of the lineup that they had. What are your thoughts, Sri? You had some favorites before the tournament started, and where was UP Warriors among the contenders in your list?
Absolutely, they were one of the front runners, I thought, because RCB at the late withdrawal of Ellis Perry really put them in a spot. And even now, I'm not convinced with their batting lineup, because you can't have a Richa Ghosh coming in and batting in the power play, and Radha Yadav batting at number 5 in the first game. I mean, so they had to sort it out. Lucky they pulled it off in the first game, thanks to Nandini de Klerk. I mean, the unsung hero, one of the best all-rounders in world cricket. Having said that, you were talking about players getting together. They had a very short period. I think they hardly had 4 or 5 days for a short camp to group together as a unit. What happens is India came out of a international assignment against Sri Lanka. Many of the foreign players had to travel in at that point in time for a camp to start. As you mentioned, it's about culture. Trying to know the players. When you have a foreigner as a captain, it becomes that much tougher, because you need to work around with a majority of the players who are domestic girls. So having said that, it took time, even for IPL. It took about 3-4 seasons, for the whole IPL to really blossom, and for the players to crack the code. So it's the same that's prevailing as of now with the girls also. I think it's a matter of time they'll sort it out. But as I said, IPL is a pretty long tournament. But here you just get to play 2 games
Right.
against each opponent. That is the crux. So there's no time for you. You play 1 game today, again you're playing one more game the other night, next night. So the recovery period is less, and for you again, you need to get back on the park and execute your skills. So a loss to shrug it off, get back on a fresh lease, also becomes a tough call. So early days, as I said, we've seen some exciting cricket, more in store, and this tournament can only get better as it progresses.
Certainly, and the Indian players will only get richer with experience and learn a lot, rubbing the shoulders of with the international players. And Nadine de Klerk, what a all-rounder she is turning out to be. Match-winning knock for RCB against Mumbai in the first inning, first match. 18 runs they needed of the last over. First 2 balls being dot balls from none other than Nat Siver Brunt, the experienced English medium pacer. And the next 18 runs needed, 2 6s, 2 4s, and she just finishes off with ease. So we were discussing if in our previous episodes and also during the World Cup that she was wasted at number 9 in the South African batting lineup, and she ought to have been batting at a higher order, in which she is doing it for RCB, and she's happy doing that. So she's one player to look out for. Perhaps she could even be the first to score 100 in a WPL. She came close to in that match, but then it's all how the top order gets the start with Smriti Mandhana at the helm. So it's been fantastic. 5 matches so far, 6 more to go in Navi Mumbai, and then the bandwagon moves to Baroda, like you mentioned. So lots to look forward to, including the men's matches, which goes to Rajkot, 14th, Sankranti, the day of Pongal, Sankranti, and all those festival of harvest across India. Second ODI, India versus New Zealand in Rajkot, followed by the final in Indore. So, Sri, looking forward to more such matches, and also not only in India, SA20 is on in South Africa, BBL getting to its last stages in Australia. So, what all to watch, Sri, in this?
I think 24 hours is not enough to watch cricket. So I think it's better we stick to what is happening in India, follow the fortune of our own girls in the Premier League, the men's ODI. And interestingly, we would have the semi-final of the Vijay Hazare post the 2 quarters today coming up in this week. That also would be an interesting one. So let's stick to what's happening in India and just follow what's happening in the globe outside of India on the tabloids.
On that note, thank you very much, and I wish you all a very happy Pongal / Sankranti / the festival of harvest in India. Take care, Sri. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jiko. Bye.